Good afternoon.
How are you today?
I'm great. And yourself?
Great. Beautiful Los Angeles. So this is home for you, right?
It is. It is. I've been here for about 2 years now. It's really become my home.
So when and where did you start your beautiful singing and performance?
Singing started when I was just 13 years old. I started off as an opera singer, and back in my small town called Vélizy, which is in the suburbs. It's about half hour from Paris. So this is where it all started.
So the Lady in Red was there when you were 13, or the Lady in Red came later on?
Of course, it wasn't there when I was 13. You know, it's really, the Lady in Red is a concept that I first coined nearly 6 years ago. Initially, it was called Woman in Red, and it was a web series that I created. It's funny because initially it was just to make fun of a friend that I created the character. She was very extravagant. She loved wearing red all the time, red all the time. That's what she did, my friend. And so I said, this is funny. I have to create a character out of this. You know, and so I created the Woman in Red, which later on when I moved to LA became the Lady in Red, which is more about cabaret, which is what I do. I'm a cabaret singer.
So what is Cabaret de l'Obscur?
Cabaret de l'Obscur. That's a good one. You know, it's interesting. When I first came up with the name Cabaret de l'Obscur, which is the name of my band, it's me and Michael Bogomolny, who is my accompanist. He's a Russian-Israeli piano player. He's unbelievable. So this is the two of us, Cabaret de l'Obscur. And Cabaret de l'Obscur is really about, it's two concepts in one. You know, it's what cabaret is all about, you know, which is theater, which is music, fancy costumes, feathers, that's cabaret. And de l'Obscur is where we're heading. We're heading towards projects that are a little more dark, you know, a little more deeper than cabaret. Being a vintage singer, you know, it's not just when you're on stage, it's a lifestyle. That's the way I live my life. You know, I watch movies in black and white. I live in a very old apartment, which was built in the 1920s. I adore music from, you know, that era, the 1920s up to the 1950s. This is what I really love. So being a vintage singer, to me, in my eyes, you know, I always do things 100%. So I live, breathe vintage.
Do you drive an old car?
Kind of. I drive a blue bug, so I'm getting closer to that. It's interesting, you know, when I first moved here, and so I wanted to stand out. So that's why I said, why not create my own cabaret show? Everybody looked at me like I was a little crazy. You know, like, this is LA. This is a city, you know, where you have a lot of rock performers and other genres, even electro music or things like that, but not so much about cabaret. And so at first I was wondering about that. And then I said, but I have to do what I love. You know, I love singing old standards. So I went on with it. And I think I forgot your question.
What was the future for you of the cabaret in Los Angeles?
Okay. Well, I think that's the thing. In LA, everything has to be created still. I feel like this is a genre that is emerging. You know, you see that I found out that there is a huge vintage scene here. It's more underground. You know, you have a lot of 1930s clubs or places like that where you have a lot of performers doing that kind of music. So I think there is definitely a future. And also I would like to add about this. We're in a phase where people want to see a lot more about what was happening back in the days. It's kind of reminiscent right now. So I think it has a huge potential and future. Also, you know, I grew up in Paris. My grandpa, he was born and raised in Pigalle, which is really the area, like the Mecca for cabaret, literally. And I guess all this time I had that in me. And, you know, coming to LA was a lot about affirming who I am. And it's really helped me explore that some more. And yeah, there is a potential and a future for cabaret here. I sure hope so. You know, I guess I'm very French in so many ways. I love food. I love going to museums. I enjoy culture and I enjoy meeting people. So my passions would be, yeah, just art in general, writing, traveling, doing outdoor activities. I'm a huge, you know, hike fan. I love going on hikes and hot yoga.
Oh, the big crown one?
Yes. It's the best one. It's the best one. You know, I'm a very intense person, so yoga really helps me let loose. For the lady in red, what are her passions? The lady in red, you know, I always like to say, yes, it's a character, but it's also an extension of me, somewhat. You know, it's the lady in red really embodies everything that I wouldn't normally do, but I can do it because I'm her. So that's kind of cool. Her passions would be vintage, obviously, you know, old music, food, and that's where we kind of meet. We both love food. She likes things that are classic, and I do too. So we have similarities. You can find me online on Facebook. She has her own page, The Lady in Red. If you type The Lady in Red, you know, on Facebook, you're gonna find her, and you know, obviously, you're gonna find me. I'm on YouTube as well. I also have a website, which is www.jennyrieu.book.fr. FR for why? For what? For France. Of course, because I come from France.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.